Hello and welcome. This is Timruk, which I read something about something. It's basically I'm playing through a historical tome from the fictional world where this takes place, something like that. Wasp plus mouse to move and look around. E to talk. R to go back. Q space. All right. The Parable of Timruk and Other Stories, a storybook from the fabled city of Kiamgad, as retold by Professor James P. Fielding. Translated from Kiamgad Nikatha by Yada Yada. Folio first printed in July 1852. Reprinted 1903 with express permission of the Mission Press of Calcutta. Okay. Well, this is pretty. Oh! Oh! I was not expecting a 3D game. Namaskar, O stranger, I bid you welcome. I am the Sutradhar, and I've been waiting here to tell you a strange and ominous or sinuous story, so listen carefully. The story begins amidst the Great War of Bashtu. The 7 bloodthirsty pashas of Idarat had each raised formidable armies that marched endlessly across the Bashtu Valley. The world at the gates of Kiamagad laid soaked in blood. I never witnessed the massacre, but was told of its brutalities by the guards and errand boys who stood outside our prison. For all 42 of us, miniaturists, binders and gilders, apprentices and calligraphers, from the fabled Bashtu atelier, we were imprisoned in rooms within the city of Haroun, by order of the feuding pashas. The pashas feared that the frenzy of their arms war on the battlefield would inspire in us such a need to paint these grisly scenes of war and valor that the atelier would consume all the precious supply of its red Mongolian ink. Oh, that's beautiful! Look at that! And without this glorious hue to saturate the blood of his vanquished, and to paint his righteous attire, the victorious Pasha would not be able to commission great books chronicling his valiant battlefield or illustrations of the yada yada. We spent 40 days and 40 nights locked within the confines of our prison, and during this period of interment, our master of the guild told us 7 parables from the annals of Kayamgad to make our imprisonment and ordeal bearable. The first one was called Timruk, and this is how it always began. The strange parable of the boy named Timruk. In the cold and distant valley of Abruj, beyond the mountains of Yodala, there lived a pasha who was fabled for his patronage of the sublime art of creating manuscripts. The pasha had a son named Timruk. The young prince and the pasha lived in the town of Haroun, and here within the vast winter palace the pasha had compiled one of the greatest libraries known to man. Safavid miniature illustrating the story of Ro, Persian illuminations from the Sultan's Book of Hours, almanacs, Flemish tablature, maps of the Salt Sea. Wow. That's a lot of books. For 30 years he ruled over the valley from his seat at Haroun. For 30 years. Prosperity. Alright, great. So the library grew with thousands upon thousands of pages rolled onto neat wooden pigeonholes, sheets of paper and skin ensconced in rosewood and ivory boxes, and minarets of bound books wrapped in muslin cloth and preserved with sticks of camphor. In his 12th year at the throne, the Pasha decreed that a great atelier be built. I thought an atelier was a pharmacy. To preserve and study the manuscripts and to illuminate books and stories of his own choosing. The atelier was built in the mountains of Utampang, with 7 wooden halls flanked by tall terracotta minarets and decorated with carved stone jails. I don't think that means what I think it means. Here within the wooden caverns, peoples they worked. Silver nubs, reed pens, horsehair brushes, and their Mongolian ink pots, leaves, lac and ochre, resin and glue. The atelier flourished under the patronage of the Pasha. People fled there to practice and celebrate their art. The Abruzzi school grew in renown, and books of great intricacy and skill were crafted, from an illustrated copy of Induranama to an illuminated book of hours by the great master Imun Shah. Yes, the glorious reign of the Pasha! Hail, Pasha! Well, the masters from Persia, yeah, okay. Pasha chose the service of the master miniaturist the most. The miniaturist was an ancient man who had traveled to Harun from Dalutabad through the mountain passes of Beg and had served at the courts of Emperor Akbar. Okay, I don't know what these things are, but great. Oh, it's not for the qualities, how cool he was. Every evening, Pasha's son would go there. In the gathering darkness of the nights warmed by charcoal braziers, in mischievous delight, the old man would tell them stories. Fantastical tales of forlorn heroes and beautiful maidens, parables of strange animals, and unruly magic, stories of demons and demigods and beasts, tales of love and longing and adventure. Stories such as had never been written before, and even the encyclopedic library of the Pasha could not be coaxed to duplicate the magic that the miniaturist would weave evening after evening to the unending delight of both the Pasha and the Prince Timruk. Timruk was the Pasha's only son. Heralded by the year of unending snow, he was born on the eve of the Pasha's greatest victory against the Bentugala tribes. Timruk grew up with a fondness for strange stories, and while he reveled, his favorite story was a quaint tale. It's the story of a master painter named Imun Shah and his son called Timruk. Perhaps it was because the boy in the story shared his name. Okay. The story of the second Timruk, son of Imun Shah. Is this it? We're just going to read text? There's not, like, any gameplay here? I can't even, like, select options like I can in interactive fiction. This is literally just, you're presenting me stuff. 7 years of manuscripts, he'd served under the tutelage of Suru himself, and with such divine skill, he'd come to illustrate. Great. Well, good for him. Imun Shah was a devout and humble artist. Great. He had a son. We know this. Why did you repeat it? You already told me he had a son named Timruk. Okay, they traveled. Great. A messenger with urgent tidings. The stranger appeared to be a demigod. Red-dyed wool dhoti draped across his waist. He was riding a giant bull. Alright, this dude's serious. He's also cross-eyed. Not wanting to offend a divine personage, he invited him into his home. After the visitor had been served a generous meal and rested himself. They traveled from the Yimlock, and he carried the news of a commission from the Bhagavan Yim himself. Okay, cool. Yim, the ruler of the Netherworld, was a patron of the art of illumination, and he took great pride in having amassed a collection. But over the past few years, Immortal Pasha had seen fit to acquire a library of his own, one that began to rival even the prodigious collection of Yim. Unwilling to relinquish his reputation, Yim was now inviting the greatest artists of the age to come and work in his atelier and create more books. He generously extended the invitation. Deeply honored and scared of refusing a summons from the god of death. Yeah, I would be too, dude. Thumbs up. Imun Shah packed his stuff and traveled to the Netherworld on a winged camel. Cool! Here he worked in great contentment for 7 years and 7 months, edifying pages. His illustrations, crafted with magical colors and divine pigments, were the most wondrous that had ever been seen. Wow. One day, while illustrating a story... Okay. He looked at his painting. Alas, he was smitten, and he wondered how he could have ever parted with all those books he had created. Should he not keep for himself the art he so laboriously crafted? And so thinking, Imun Shah proclaimed that he would not part with the book he was illustrating. Yeah, I'd be upset too, Imun Shah. High five. Steal a book from me, my book, he cried in a thunderous voice, and he rumbled and ranted through the halls of his palace as he ran to confront the painter. Terrified of the sudden thunderous roars in the palace and realizing he had inadvertently angered the god Yim, the painter began to fear for his life and that of his son. To shield his son, the painter seized the incomplete manuscript and hid his son, Timruk, into the freshly painted illustrations, painting his son into the story itself. Yim entered the painter's hall, seething with anger upon finding the painter holding the manuscript, into which the painter had now hidden his son. Imun Shah will never complete this book, and will be doomed forever to illustrate an unending story. And thus proclaiming, he banished Imun Shah from the kingdom, pulling back to Earth. And so Imun Shah kept illuminating that single manuscript. He kept reading his pages over and over and over and trying to find his son. But he can't. Yep, the book would always show up empty every time it was opened. Ouch. Okay, so you're doing it to me, huh? You're totally doing it to me. Yeah. So it's just looping because that's the story. He's got a book that will never finish, so it's just all looping again. That's a good twist. I wish there was something, you know, going on here aside from me reading text to you, because you can read for yourselves. But there you have it. That's Timruk, which is really cool, even though it's not a game. I can't even walk around. I guess I did walk around in that one scene, didn't I? I walked like for 5 seconds. So there's the game. That's gameplay. I'll see you all next time. We'll find some other thing to play. And you have a great day until then. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. This was really beautiful. The illustrations were like, oomph, so good. You could have just like had a book and turned pages in a book. Like, forget this room setting thing. I don't need this. The books were beautiful. I love the art. It's just gorgeous. Oh, I can look around too. I didn't even think about trying that. Can I move? Nope, can't move. Okay. I'll see you next time.